ديريكت يظل داكور ما نرجعش الان هو يهبط
باهي انت كي تجي سي معناها سينيال
طلع
اعمل
عملك
هكا عمليه
مرة لا سي بون مشيتي حالك شوف حل سيبا سيداتي وسادتي أصبح الخير مرحبا بكم في تونس مرحبا بكم في الندوة الرابعة للمنظمة العالمية للسياحة حول السياحة والإعلام. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, bienvenue en Tunisie, bienvenue à cette quatrième conférence de l'Organisation mondiale du tourisme sur le tourisme et les médias. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Tunisia and welcome to the fourth conference of the World Tourism Organization on tourism and media. First of all, it's always very nice to see a full room in an international conference, so many guests. Mesdames et messieurs, c'est toujours un honneur et un plaisir de voir une si belle assemblée en Tunisie, d'invités de marque, d'ambassadeurs, je vais prendre de représentants d'organisations internationales, et puis surtout, nous avons aujourd'hui avec nous le plaisir d'avoir des ministres. بيننا اليوم سعادة سعادة معالي وزير السياحة السوداني السيد عادل حميد. أستاذنا معنا صح؟ Son Excellence, Monsieur Omar El Ghoul d'Algérie, Excellence, parler de vous en disant que vous êtes un invité est un peu délicat, vous êtes chez vous. Donc, je vais avoir le plaisir d'appeler tout de suite à la tribune pour ouvrir cette conférence Madame Salma. Alors, nous avons aussi le plaisir d'accueillir une amie ministre algérienne qui va être parmi nous dans 30 secondes. Donc, je vais vous parler du programme de la journée. Voilà, comme ça sera fait. Alors, ce matin, nous avons démarré avec une très courte cérémonie d'ouverture dans laquelle notre ministre du Tourisme et de l'Artisanat, Madame Salma Elloumi, va présenter une petite note de welcome note. Ensuite, nous aurons le plaisir d'avoir un grand ami de la Tunisie, M. Taleb, Rifai, secrétaire général de l'Organisation mondiale du tourisme. Puis, les conférences commenceront avec un discours de M. Jim Bitterman, qui est correspondant principal en Europe de CNN et qui nous parlera sur comment renforcer les partenariats entre le tourisme, les destinations et les médias. So this morning, ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting with a little speech a welcome speech from the Honorable Madame Salma Elloumi, who is our Minister of Tourism and Handicrafts, followed by Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General of the organization, the World Organization of Tourism. And then at 10 o'clock, we will have Mr. Jim Bitterman from CNN, who will be talking to us about partnerships between tourism, destinations, and media. I would like just to remind you that this session can be live tweeted. Vous pouvez faire un tweet live de cette conférence sur les hashtags suivants. Donc hashtag UNWTO, le hashtag Tourism and Media, et puis finalement un hashtag qui nous est très cher, qui est Discover Tunisia. Donc, je ne vais pas... on peut démarrer excusez-moi, je veux juste... C'est les charmes du direct, mesdames et messieurs. Madam Minister just reminded me that there was something important, that we will be showing a short film that you will be certainly appreciating after the speeches, and the film won a couple of awards. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, سيدتي وسادتي, معالي وزيرة السياحة والصناعات التقليدية السيدة سلمى اللومي رقيق.
Monsieur le secrétaire général de l'Organisation mondiale du tourisme, Monsieur le secrétaire général de l'Organisation arabe du tourisme, Messieurs les ministres, Excellences, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, Messieurs les présidents des fédérations professionnelles, honorables invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est un honneur et un plaisir pour moi de vous souhaiter la bienvenue en Tunisie à l'occasion de la tenue de la 4e conférence internationale sur le tourisme et les médias. Je remercie tous ceux qui ont participé à l'organisation de cet événement et tous ceux qui ont répondu à notre invitation pour apporter leur contribution à ce débat. Je voudrais m'adresser tout particulièrement à M. Taleb Rifai pour lui exprimer nos vifs remerciements et notre reconnaissance pour son engagement personnel ainsi que celui de tous ses collaborateurs en vue de soutenir la relance du tourisme tunisien, particulièrement en ces temps difficiles. Je voudrais également saluer le choix pertinent du thème de ce débat, la création de nouveaux partenariats entre les opérateurs du tourisme et les médias constitue en effet une excellente opportunité de dialogue. Le tourisme, comme les médias, ont la noble mission de favoriser la mobilité des individus à travers le monde en rapprochant les cultures et en favorisant la diffusion des valeurs de la tolérance et les sentiments de solidarité et d'entraide. Mesdames et messieurs, honorables invités, la tenue de cette conférence m'offre l'occasion de rappeler l'importance du tourisme dans le tissu économique, mais aussi dans le vécu quotidien de la majorité des citoyens tunisiens. Sa relance est aujourd'hui une des priorités absolues de notre gouvernement. Mais au-delà de la relance de ce secteur a besoin d'une réforme structurelle profonde afin qu'il puisse mieux se positionner au sein d'un paysage touristique mondial marqué par une forte concurrence. Pour ce faire, notre stratégie consiste, entre autres, à diversifier nos produits pour répondre aux attentes des consommateurs qui expriment de nouvelles exigences et aussi à diversifier nos marchés pour toucher de nouvelles clientèles touristiques. Dans le même sillage, je voudrais réaffirmer le fait que le développement du secteur touristique en Tunisie est un choix irréversible en raison de plusieurs atouts. Un positionnement géographique stratégique, un patrimoine culturel et historique plusieurs fois millénaire, une succession de civilisations, une diversité au niveau du produit touristique, un peuple qui a une longue histoire d'accueil et d'hospitalité. Mesdames et messieurs, la Tunisie est un pays touristique par excellence. La sécurité des Tunisiens et de tous ceux qui nous font l'amitié de nous visiter est une préoccupation majeure. Celle-ci ne cesse de connaître une amélioration et l'effort de nos forces intérieures est poursuivi sans relâche en vue de sécuriser tout le pays. Le niveau de sécurité doit être aux normes et aux standards internationaux. Je cite à ce propos la récente signature entre les ministères de l'Intérieur et du Tourisme d'une convention fixant les modalités pratiques de la sécurité interne des établissements touristiques et le programme de coopération sécuritaire engagé avec les pays amis, avec l'Union européenne aussi. Je voudrais à ce propos lancer un vif appel à l'Organisation mondiale du tourisme et à la communauté internationale pour qu'ensemble, nous puissions combattre les forces du mal et faire triompher le bien. Je saisis l'occasion pour un appel à une véritable solidarité mondiale et à faire en sorte que les restrictions de voyage dans les pays victimes du terrorisme soient mieux étudiées, qu'elles ne soient pas pénalisantes pour les destinations et pour les peuples. La Tunisie s'est engagée sur la voie de la démocratie et de la liberté. C'est une revendication populaire majeure qui guidera d'une manière irréversible notre jeune démocratie, tant nous sommes profondément convaincus qu'elle est la pierre angulaire de toutes les réussites. Notre volonté est de voir émerger de cette conférence un nouveau partenariat qui réussit l'adéquation entre la crédibilité des médias et la réalité des destinations. Notre volonté, qui est celle des journalistes et des communicateurs, est de fournir aux consommateurs une information fiable qui dissipe les amalgames et les préjugés, une information crédible qui rapproche nos concitoyens pour le bien de nos peuples. Mesdames et messieurs, la Tunisie est la dernière démocratie née dans la région et dans le monde. Elle est sur la bonne voie grâce à son énorme potentiel en ressources humaines, à sa détermination à libérer les énergies et les initiatives, mais aussi grâce à la sympathie et la confiance de la communauté internationale. Le parcours déjà réalisé par la démocratie lui a valu aujourd'hui une reconnaissance mondiale, celle du prix Nobel de la paix de 2015. Permettez-moi de renouveler mes remerciements à tous ceux qui nous font l'amitié d'être aujourd'hui des nôtres. Il y a 24 pays qui sont présents aujourd'hui. Je me permets également de rendre un vibrant hommage à notre ami M. Taleb Rifai, qui, avec ses collaborateurs, n'ont ménagé aucun effort pour la tenue de cette conférence. Je tiens à remercier tous ceux qui ont contribué à la réussite de ce rendez-vous, les experts, les consultants, les professionnels ici présents. Mesdames et messieurs, honorables invités, je vous remercie pour votre attention. Je passe la parole à M. Taleb Rifai.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization.
معالي السيدة الفاضلة سلمى الرقيق وزيرة السياحة والصناعة التقليدية بجمهورية تونسية، السيدة التي اكتسبت الاحترام والتقدير بسرعة كبيرة على المستوى المحلي والإقليمي والدولي بالرغم من الكثير من الصعوبات والتحديات التي واجهتها في مهمتها وفي تونس. أشكرك شكرا جزيلا على استضافتك لنا، نحن دعم لك ودعم لتونس إن شاء الله على المدى الطويل. معالي الدكتور عمر غول وزير التهيئة الإقليمية والسياحة والصناعة التقليدية بجمهورية الجزائر الديمقراطية الشعبية، وجودكم معنا رسالة نفهمها وندركها ونقدرها ونحترمها. نحن مقدرون جدا الدعم اللامحدود الذي قدمته الجزائر لجارتها الشقيقة تونس، ونحن نراقب بكل عناية وبكل تقدير هذا الدعم خصوصا في مجال السياحة. شكرا على وجودك معنا. أصحاب المعالي، الأخ الكريم، السفراء الأعزاء، الأستاذ منير ثابت ابن لبنان الطيب ممثل الأمم المتحدة هنا في تونس. My dear friend Bitterman, who I had the pleasure of meeting and knowing yesterday. I'm looking forward to hearing, Jim, where are you? Looking forward to hearing what you have to say. You have to be very careful because everybody will be looking at you and hearing what you have to say. Dear friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, forgive me for speaking in a language that's not the language of this country or the used more common language in this country. I can understand a little bit of French, but I cannot be good enough to speak it. So please forgive me for that. Let me, on the behalf of UNWTO, the specialized agency of the United Nations, welcome you all to the 4th edition of the United Nations World Tourism Organization Tourism and Media Conference that is being held here in Tunis. I'm particularly pleased to welcome you in Tunis. There is a clear message that the international travel and tourism community wants to send from this country. The convening of a conference here is not just about the substance and the content of this conference. It is where it is held and why it is held and the message that resonates from this country. Ms. Salma Rekik, thank you so much once again. You and your team have been great in coordinating the work with us, and we will continue to work together. My dear friends, Tunis has been an example in consolidating democracy, recognized by recent award of the Nobel Prize winner to the National Dialogue Quartet that we will be celebrating, hopefully, in the presence of all of you here tonight. Tunis is being looked at with great admiration. We completely understand and recognize the challenges and the difficulties that this small country is facing. But the determination of the people of Tunis and the solidarity of the international community has always been exemplary. And I'm particularly honored and thrilled and happy to see the support of the sister countries and the neighbors of Tunis around it. This is a good sign and a healthy sign for the future. This is without doubt a tribute to the people of Tunis and a vote of trust and capacity in the Tunisian people to drive this country to the path of progress and development. My dear friends, travel and tourism today have become a central global phenomenon. It is no more people laying lazy on the beach enjoying their time. It is 1 out of 11 jobs all over the world. It is 10% of world GDP. It's direct income of $1.5 trillion every year. It is 30% of world trade and services. Last year in 2014, there was 1,133 million international tourists that crossed borders in 1 year. This is a tremendous power. It is undeniable also that Tunis has been facing extraordinary challenges with regard to tourism. These are part of the overall challenges that this region is passing through. There is no practicality, no reasoning in denying it. We must face it head on. We must acknowledge it and we must deal with it. These challenges, we should never forget that what we are facing today is a global challenge. We can never be facing challenges like this at a national or regional level. What we're facing is a global challenge and we must address it at a global level. These forces of darkness that are trying to hamper our path to progress are an international phenomena that needs to be dealt with at an international level. This is our clear stand at UNWTO, and this is what we believe in. That's precisely why we at the UNWTO are here in Tunis to resonate this message that the international community is here with you, not just the tourism community, but the entire international community. UNWTO has full confidence in the ability of Tunis and the Tunisian tourism sector to overcome these current challenges and regain its momentum. Tunis has faced, like many other countries in this region, many difficulties and has shown strength and resilience. And this time it is no different. We will prevail, and the Tunisian people will prevail. We know exactly what they want to do. They want to hurt us where they know it hurts. But we are never going to stop traveling to Tunis, because that is the only answer to these cowardly actions of the forces of darkness. The government of Tunis has announced several measures to support this sector in this hard moment and is looking towards the future. I particularly welcome the work of the ministry in coordination with the private sector, aimed at planning actions to be implemented in the coming 5 years, and which will allow Tunis to regain its natural place among the leading tourism destinations. And it's already on the path. I'm very happy to announce it's already on the path of progress and growth. Markets are changing rapidly. We need to keep up with that. Destinations need to innovate in promotion, product development, business models. Tunisia has understood these challenges and is moving ahead. Yet, most importantly, Tunis is an example to follow when it comes to supporting the tourism sector at the highest level. I still remember my meeting last April with the President of the Republic, who received me with open hands and open arms. And he reiterated his belief, his faith, his trust in the tourism sector. And he said, and I quote, "If tourism in Tunis is in good shape, Tunis will be in good shape." He believes in that, and that's very, very essential to have this strong, clear political will. My dear friends, today's meeting is about media and how media interacts with tourism. Media constitutes a major stakeholder in the tourism sector, not only in terms of disseminating information and promotion, as many of you may want to utilize and use, but also with regard to connecting the public and to promote a better understanding to the role of tourism in today's world. Today, tourism is still a very under-recognized, underutilized sector. We count on the media to make people in the world understand that we are living in a different age where travel and tourism is a very important part. The world today is governed by two very important revolutions, in addition, of course, to the very important revolution here in Tunisia. One is the IT revolution. Two is the travel revolution, without doubt. 1.1 billion international tourists crossing borders every year. That means almost 1 out of 7 of the people of the world making an international trip every year outside of their country. That is no small thing. 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now, the future generations would look back at this time and age and say, that was the age of travel. We are living in the middle of a very important transformation where travel is a very essential part, and we're counting on the media to make sure that they understand that the value of travel and tourism has gone beyond leisure and beyond being just an auxiliary, supplementary action in human and activities of the human beings in this time and age. This series of tourism and media conferences that was launched by UNWTO 4 years ago to promote a better understanding between tourism and media stakeholders and create synergy between the both have decided to meet in its 4th meeting here in Tunis. In line with this objective, today we will be looking at key issues such as various angles of tourism media coverage and challenges, media professionals facing their work in addressing tourism-related stories, And conversely, we will also look at the challenges of the tourism stakeholders that they face in dealing with the media. The two parts need to understand each other in a much better way. We will look particularly at crisis communication, which has become a global symptom of today's world, not just in tourism, but in many, many other aspects of life. We need to communicate more transparently, more professionally, and more ably, so that the world can understand that we are still living in a world that is good, that is pleasant, and that deserves to be celebrated. We can, if we work together, build this partnership. I'd like to close by thanking once again the Ministry of Tourism and Handicrafts of Tunis, and particularly the Minister and her wonderful team, and thank our very, very good friend and very loyal partners, the CNN, and particularly our very good friend, Senior European Correspondent for CNN International, Jim Bitterman, who many of you may know on your small screen. Today you will see him alive and in real flesh and blood, and will address you representing our very good partner at UNWTO, which is CNN. And I want to give, through you, Jim, pay tribute to CNN that has been with us, never failed us when we needed them, and never failed to answer the call when the call was needed. Thank you all for coming from so many faraway places and joining us today. Let us all join hands in celebrating the march of Tunis towards progress, towards humanity, towards democracy, and towards a better world. Because after all, tourism is about celebrating everything that is beautiful in life. Tourism is the industry that puts smiles on the faces of the people. And as Mother Teresa said, peace starts with a smile. Let us all celebrate this wonderful industry, and let us all be together in supporting this wonderful country. I thank you all very much. شكرا جزيلا للجميع على حضوركم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
peux avoir les lumières? Well, obviously, this was successful, hearing the clapping. Donc, mesdames et messieurs, à nouveau, je voudrais vous rappeler que nous avons un live tweet de cet événement. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that you can live tweet this event on hashtag UNWTO, on hashtag tourism and media, and on hashtag Discover Tunisia. And for the last hashtag, you can tweet all the time, even when this is over. We are now moving to the second part, which is a little bit more professional look, the view on the sector. And we have, this conference has a major media partner, CNN. So CNN could only send us one of its best. And we have the pleasure to have with us today CNN senior correspondent in Europe, Mr. Jim Bitterman. Would you care joining us, sir? Jim, I met Jim Clancy, and you are taller than him.
And lighter, too, I should say. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
One technical thing.
Oh.
Just get closer to this.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I should know about microphones. I'd just like to say bonjour, sobakher, and good morning to you all. Your Excellency, Dr. Taleb Rifai, become one of my great friends here from the World Tourism Organization. The Honorable Mrs. Salma Elloumi Rekik, the Minister of Tourism and Handicrafts for Tunisia, honorable ministers, ambassadors, members of the tourism sector, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to be with you here in Tunis for the 4th annual UNWTO International Conference on Tourism and the Media. CNN International has a long-standing partnership with the UNWTO and the global travel industry. This relationship is one that we place a great value in, as we are acutely aware of the critical role that the tourism industry plays in developing nations in economics, socially, environmentally, and politically. Both editorially and as a trusted advertising platform, CNN has been telling the stories of nations, not just through the tourism lens, but through the lenses of business, investment, development, environment, the arts, sports, culture, and of course, society. We are particularly proud of our close relationship with you, Dr. Rifai, and with the UNWTO. We remain ever grateful for our partnership, one that does ensure that tourism is working for the people of tourism, as they are travelers or hosts. Thank you very much, sir. Today, given this honor of the keynote address, I'm also delighted to be speaking on a subject that is of great importance to me and many of my colleagues across the world of CNN, namely how to build a stronger partnership between tourism and the media. Reflecting on this subject, one which I believe raises subjects which are at the heart of effective journalism, it made me pause for a thought about just how dramatically the media world has changed, and as a result, how the needs of relationships with the media have evolved. Without dating myself, and please don't do the math here, I'd like to take you on a journey through the world of media as I have experienced it. While today I'd like to call Paris my home, one of the top tourist destinations in the world, my career as a journalist began in the United States, Chicago. In some ways, it feels like a lifetime ago, and that's because it was a lifetime ago. And yet I can still remember it as if it was yesterday. Up until that point, I wanted to be an electrical engineer, like my father. But I was working at a local newspaper when I was 17 as a switchboard operator, watching the reporters coming and going. My passion for journalism started there. Up until that point, as my career had been on the electrical engineering path, I thought that that was the only thing in the world that could excite me. But then the energy of the reporting process, the excitement of touching the issues of the day, being the first to know and the one to get the story out, I found it magnetic and magic. I was convinced that for me, journalism was it. It did, however, take 2 years of university and some terrible grades in calculus and physics to convince my father that I didn't have the right stuff for engineering, and that journalism was actually about the only way that I was going to have any kind of future and earn my way in the world. I started writing for that paper in 1965, during the times when newspapers were the holy grail of reporting. Fast forward to 50 years to 2015, when in May of this year we celebrated in Paris my half century in news. For me personally, first and foremost, all those years, my love of journalism has not changed one bit. Why? Because I think I was and remain insatiably curious about just about everything. And journalism is the one profession where you can ask anybody anything, and then feel like you're contributing to making the world just a little bit better place by passing on what you learn. Many of my colleagues might say exactly the same thing. Interestingly, this goes hand in hand with my love of travel. Travel shows the way the world works and helps us identify with people around the globe. When I look at these two passions, travel and journalism, I appreciate that I'm able to dig below the surface to get an understanding of not just what happened, but why things happen. Travel always gives me insight on why things are the way they are, seeing things that will open my eyes to how the world really works, finding the heartbeat within the story. As a journalist, this is an essential perspective and gives appreciation for diversity, yet the unity that exists out there in the world. This is priceless and timeless. Which brings to the fore the fact that while so much has changed, there is so much that remains the same. From my perspective as a journalist, there have been a few changes that I've been fortunate to live through. Up until the 1980s, TV journalism was about sending in reports in bits and pieces. We sometimes didn't even see what a story looked like until days and sometimes weeks later. The final product came from an editing room somewhere. All this changed in the late 1980s and early 90s, when we were able to feed entire story packages in from the field. And then came the age of live television, with the need to be carefully manage the pressures of speed and accuracy. The mantra of get it right became get it right away. And now, with the advent of the IT revolution that Dr. Rifai talked about and the development of social media, the media landscape has evolved once again, even more rapidly and dramatically than anyone in the journalism community might have imagined. With all of these changes, and all the changes still to come, competition to get the story out is more and more fierce. Citizen journalism has become like a media tsunami. It challenges us to ever more speed and accuracy, and it challenges us to become attention-grabbing. For some, this quest for the quantity appeal of a story, as shown by the likes and shares and retweets, can eclipse the quality of content and truthfulness. This is where the issue of relationships between the media, and in this case the tourism industry, becomes interesting and critically important. So ladies and gentlemen, in exploring the issue of the relationships between the media, especially in times of crisis, I'd like to frame my point of view based on three themes: accuracy, responsibility, and transparency. I use this as a framework for my address because through all of my years in media and the last 20 years with CNN, these I find are the pillars of what is and what will always be quality journalism: relationships with journalists. Let's start with that first pillar, accuracy. In today's over-connected world where millions of live and breathe by the battery strength of their mobile devices, and anyone with a social media account can play the role of, quote, journalists, spreading information and opinions, accurate or not, that has become the norm. Social media, for all of its strengths in reach, speed, and ability to get to the essence of the story quickly, has one central weakness: content is never verified. For this reason, global audiences across the media spectrum are turning to mainstream media, like CNN, for confirmation of the importance and accuracy of stories. CNN, a brand I am proud to represent, has developed a worldwide reputation of trust for not only getting the story out, but more importantly, getting it right and in the right perspective. This trust has created a global following for CNN that's impressive: 396 million households and hotels around the world, 2.9 billion global page views per month on our websites, 160 million unique users per month, and we're the most followed news brand on social media with over 70 million Twitter and Facebook followers. Our credibility is our most important product, and at CNN we take this responsibility seriously. As we have since CNN was born 35 years ago, across the globe, our teams tirelessly work to ensure that what we communicate, the stories we tell, are truthful in context and complete. This principle of completeness is something which I've always kind of admired about CNN. Its commitment to the story, even when the rest of the media world may have moved on. Is CNN there when a crisis occurs? Of course we are, absolutely. We have an unparalleled global network of bureaus, crews, and stringers that make it possible for us to be immediately on the front lines of the story, ensuring that the story is being captured and conveyed truthfully. But it's not only CNN's physical infrastructure that enables us to cover immediately and accurately the world's stories. It's our relationships that make this possible. Across the world, CNN has developed a rich, long-standing, and genuine relationship network on the ground. As a result, when a story breaks, we have the ability to immediately reach out to people we know, trust, and can call on to give us the information we need in context, in a way that ensures the world gets the full story. And importantly, we stay on afterwards, ensuring that the world continues to get the whole story. As an example, we saw it in the Philippines with CNN's coverage of the super typhoon Haiyan. We saw it in Nigeria with the girls of Chibok when they disappeared. We'll see it again, and I'll be a direct part of it in the new year for the first anniversary of the attacks at Charlie Hebdo in Paris. CNN's definition of accuracy of reporting includes staying close to the story and storytellers, getting the whole story during and after. My second pillar is directly linked to the first, responsibility. This has become an area which many in the media world, formal and informal, may not want to talk about specifically, especially as speed and traction of media have become the metrics that seem the most important. They seem like the most accurate way to look at media quality. When I speak of responsibility, this covers not just accuracy of content, but also appropriateness. Every day, everywhere in the world, CNN internalizes the responsibility we have to the story, to our audiences, and to our brand. In today's immediate media environment, be it in the form of words, images, or videos, things can be released into the worldwide media space without going through a litmus test of ethics and good taste. This has, in some cases, created a dangerous desensitization towards what simply is not right to show our audiences. Sadly, however, it has now become the norm out there, especially in the social media. The communications ecosystem has been magnified by digital technology. It has become an ecosystem. The ability for anyone, anywhere, to broadcast their views, voice, and often venom can create a dangerous ego rush when that send button is hit on one's laptop or smartphone. We know the damage, often irreparable, that can be done to people, nations, companies, anyone, anywhere, when rumor is put out there as fact, and when opinion becomes more important than factual information. For this reason, when in the case of crisis, information is still emerging, and we know there's a rush to be the first to get the story out, we'll not hesitate to express the need for caution around speculation. We all saw this most recently when a Russian airliner came down over Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, taking with it 224 souls. Immediately, rumors began to fly around about who was responsible and why. Until now, there is still no confirmation of exactly what happened. And until now, CNN continues to report that a terrorist act is the suspected cause. When we know for sure, we'll let the world know. Until then, the principle of responsible handling of this highly sensitive story will guide our coverage. Our media platforms may have changed, but our ethics and our sense of responsibility have not, nor should they. Finally, let me talk about transparency. This, ladies and gentlemen, can often be seen as an area of greatest risk when it comes to relationships with the media. But the truth is that it's the greatest investment that you can make. When a story breaks, be it positive or otherwise, the media is in an immediate need of access to people, access to information. When a crisis occurs, it's easy to understand why one might want to hold back or even hide from the media. But doing so will only fuel the media's need to know and strengthen the efforts to find out. By establishing and nurturing long-term relationships with the media, relationships based on trust, honesty, and respect, the ability for the media to tell the story accurately, responsibly, and holistically becomes possible. When a crisis occurs, whatever one might hope to hide will eventually come out. Don't try to hide it. The media is there to help you tell the story and do it in a way that enables your business and country to move forward through the crisis, focusing on what matters with a view towards recovery and rebuilding. Masking the truth will only damage credibility. And as I said earlier, credibility is the gold commodity in any relationship. So, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, and with these three pillars in place as the foundations and relationship building between the tourism industry and media, namely accuracy, responsibility, and transparency, the following are what I would define as guidelines for relationships between, building with the media, especially when faced with a crisis. First, when a crisis occurs, get the information out there quickly and accurately. Do not be afraid to say you don't know. Do not sugarcoat information. It's better to be honest and straightforward from the start because transparency is so important. Secondly, link to the above. Make it personal. Don't hide behind institutions or institutional messaging, and don't be afraid to tell the human side of the story. Thirdly, reluctance to cooperate with the media does not serve you well. To push the media aside risks raising red flags. The media will follow those flags assertively. Fourthly, build relationships over the long term so that when you need them, they are there, and when they need you, they know you are there for them. And finally, provide wider context to the tourism story. We at CNN know that more and more tourism is a growing part of international commerce, national competitiveness, and global diplomacy. Work with the media to frame the tourism story from the perspective of other industries, other aspects of the national story. Now, these guidelines, which have been shaped from over a half century in journalism, I wanted to share with you with the full support of CNN as your partner as you work together to advance tourism for your individual destinations, your people, and your futures. CNN remains committed to the global tourism industry. We look forward to working with you as 2016 unfolds. Thank you very much for the opportunity, for letting me to tell my story, to share my story with you, and the honor of CNN being your partner in this important conference as we work together with the UNWTO to get the story of tourism out to the world. Thank you. Now, I think, Sandra, if we have enough time, maybe we can take a few questions, or if not, we won't. Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jim, for a thorough presentation. Though I must confess, it's kind of strange not to hear you finish your intervention by saying this is, from Tunis, this is Jim Bitterman for CNN. Well, the morning has been quite smooth. Dr. Rifai, would you agree? Very well. So we are right on time for a little coffee break. It will take us a half hour. I would just like to remind you before we get back to the panels and the interventions, again, you can live tweet, and I've seen some people on their phones and computers. The live tweet on the hashtags UNWTO, the hashtag tourism and media, and my favorite hashtag, Discover Tunisia. I would like also to remind the ladies and gentlemen from the media that at 1 o'clock, right outside from here, there will be a press conference. So please, some of you this morning did not have this information, now you do have it. Madame la Ministre, بعد إذنك نرفع الجلسة سيدتنا. أوكي. سيدتي وسادتي مرة أخرى شكرا والتقانا بكم بعد نصف ساعة إن شاء الله. تفضلوا فما قهوة وشاي برا ومرحبا بكم مرة أخرى.